She got it like that?
Yes, she's selling them. I don't know if that's her full-time position. I mean, that's her whole only thing that she does is in that business. But yeah, I know she sells different courses. But as far as the information, now I've never seen her say different things that I've seen some people say as far as these cybersecurity gurus.
What have you seen? Some of these things that some of these people have said.
Well, I'm sure since the pandemic, I'm sure we've all seen different advertisements. You take this, you pay for this boot camp, you get, you can get into make $100,000 in 90 days, something like that. Or I've seen this one guy. His whole advertisement is, let me see, because I made something. I remember a post I made on LinkedIn about it.
100,000. That would make me a six-figure nigga, right?
And that's what he was saying. That's exactly what he was saying. Oh my gosh, I was like, I tried to follow him, but his post, I'm like, come on, man. He said he was, what's the terms he was using? It was upscaling. I mean, not upscaling. Hold up. I want to get this right.
Yeah. While you look that up, I'm just gonna drop a little bit of a tease, but I remember back in 2022, there was like this really big thing that took place on Twitter, and I'm just scrolling, and out of nowhere, it was like this huge blow up about this one course provider, and so I don't know why, but it came back to my mind recently, and that's why I said, well, let me talk to Renita about this. But did you find that
what he said, what the guy said?
Yeah.
So supposedly the year prior of his course, he said he was a Uber driver, and he was, not really making ends meet and all this different stuff. He was driving basically a hoopty, and then he took this course, some boot camp, whatever. He got into cybersecurity sales, and then he was able to upscale to $300,000 the first year from working in cyber. So I'm like,
what part of the country does he reside from?
I think he's probably in Atlanta. Atlanta got a. You know what? We already know what I'm about to say.
You know what they say in Atlanta? If you haven't filed your taxes, don't worry. 4 other people have filed them for you.
Yeah, I'm about to say Atlanta's a bunch of scammers. They got a bunch of scams going on. I know people they say that about Detroit as well. I mean, I know Detroiters got some scammers and stuff. So yeah, I pick up on scams. So when I saw that, I'm just like, dude, I upscaled $300,000 a year because I worked in cyber, dealing with cyber sales. 1 year dealing with sales. 2, you gotta learn. You gotta have that for sales, especially. You gotta have that personality. Now, I'm not gonna say he couldn't have done that, but the first year, I don't know about that. I have a soror of mine. She's been in tech sales for quite a while. And I think maybe she's still with Adobe. She might be with Oracle. I can't remember who Andrea is with at the moment. But I know she spends time working with these organizations, because when you're dealing with corporate, they're not going to be spending just like that. You got to smooth. You got to butter them up. You got to do so much. And I think this one sale that she had gotten, she spent over a year working on them. But when she got the sale, I know it was like in the millions or something. But Andrea had been working with them for a long while. It wasn't like she just jumped in and then, oh, this is what I'm doing the first year. No. So what that guy was saying to me, that's not even the only thing he said. I just like, oh, I don't want to cuss, but I know it's gonna come out because I'm like,
Feel
how the
free.
hell you gonna sell this course, your courses, based on this bullshit? Another thing that he said was, other than the fact that 300K in the first year, that he said, and I don't understand why women who don't, why women chase after, why they want a doctor or a lawyer when the tech guys are making more than them. And basically, like, they're high value men and they make more than the doctors and all this different type of stuff. And I'm like, everybody's not going to make $500,000 a year. Everybody's not going to make $300,000 a year in cyber. Now, I understand that there are different parts of the country where they're making certain things, or different industries where they're making what it looks like they're making that because they're getting RUs. I forget what, I know they're getting like some form of stock or something.
The restrictive stock units.
Yeah,
I believe.
yeah. RSUs. Yeah, they're making RSUs.
Right.
So when you combine all of that, yeah, it looks like, it appears as if you're making it more because, one, that is not vesting. You're not getting paid those RSUs right then. That has to vest. And so it's an appearance of making more. I mean, yeah, based on, at the end of the year with your taxes and all that different stuff, I'm sure that it's on there. But it's not like you're being paid that amount at that moment. And so, of course, in the tech companies, they do have that. And then if you're out west, you're going to make more. But if you're out west making that, guess what? Cost of living is up there.
For sure.
So $200,000 for a rollout in California and San Francisco, Seattle, Oregon, that means nothing. It's not as much as people think it is. Yes, it appears, I'm making all this money. But again, you still have to factor in the cost of living. So for him to make those statements, especially your first year, you'll probably be tech sales. And again, I saw this also on, I'm not sure if you know Henry with Textual. He kind of talked about this in December.
I'm aware of that, but I've been meaning to do a deep dive with the gentleman's content, but I'm aware of that brand.
Yeah, so they kind of talked about that. Even the lady that was on there, she was saying, they're talking about you're making all this money. She said, but really, people don't really make that unless they're corp to corp. You have your own business. So if you're corp to corp, you're really having a contract with a company. And I know some people I used to work with when I was in New Orleans working for Northrop. Yeah, they had theirs because we were all on a contract. But still, it wasn't like, overnight. It wasn't overnight like they're trying to say.
Right.
I mean, and then to try to get into tech so you could get women type of BS. Because you'll become a high value man. That is the dumbest mess ever. And then who's to say what he's selling, his courses, are actually viable? Some people are just putting some BS out there. Some of them are just creating courses based off of, generative AI.
Whole ass ebooks. Whole ass ebooks.
Yes. Because I've seen that. I've seen those advertisements where you can create an ebook and use ChatGPT to create it for you, and then do this and put it into Amazon, and sell them. But I'm like, who's going to buy the ebooks? People could actually, I picked up on, it could just be me, but I picked up on a pattern of ChatGPT. It loves certain words. Transforming, delve,
demystifying,
journey. Yes, demystifying as well. Yes. Yeah. And some people don't know. If you're picking, can pick up patterns, they can see it.
Mm-hmm.
And truthfully, I read somewhere, just because ChatGPT created it doesn't mean it's really yours. So it's not
Mm-hmm.
like you truly own that work.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure how that's going to pan out with copyrights and everything.
There was a big lawsuit or a big court proceeding in which a favorable verdict went towards the AI consortiums. And I saw it because I saw a lot of, not a lot, but I saw a couple of people on Twitter, aka X, celebrating that we're free to, use ChatGPT and other generative AI, and we don't have to worry about any potential blowback with respect to copyright infringement. So it is going towards, at least legally, it seems like we're going towards an environment where, AI is going to be here for a while, and
Mm-hmm.
works that we've put out, books, songs, video, voice, that stuff's all fair game. Couple things you said a lot, and I want to kind of break it down with respect to the particular individual course, content creator, sales, etc., social media entity. One, with tech sales, like you said, sometimes these conversations, they're not like wham bam, thank you, ma'am. They're like
Mm-hmm.
months in the making. If sometimes, like your friend that you mentioned, even a year.
Mm-hmm.
I've been on the other side as the person fielding calls and attending demos with vendors, and I've been in situations where the department I am at the time said no,
Mm-hmm.
and then they went with another vendor, and then 8 months later they rekindle the talks because they don't like the other vendor. So I've seen that 8 month process where finally payday hits for the person trying to orchestrate and strike gold on the deal.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing with tech sales, though, is you have like cybersecurity, you have coding, you have networking, you have data science, you have AI. But with tech sales, like you identified, it takes a kind of certain demeanor. And, you know, I'm not too familiar with the exact way the message was put out in this particular scenario. I made 300,000 my first year, and
I
I'm
upscale.
right, upscale to right. That's an interesting choice of words.
Yeah.
But it implies that that's a repeatable process, and
Right.
fuck no, it's
Right.
it's not something that you can bank. Now, if you're positioning it as, look, I'm going to put you in a position where you have the core competencies, you can identify whether this is even right for you, you have the fundamentals, and skill you up so that you have the potential to succeed and put you in connection with the
Right.
right people. Yeah, for
Right.
sure. Of course. But like I said, I'm not too familiar with specifically how it is characterized in this scenario, but I think I'm familiar with that brand as well. And I've seen others as well
Mm-hmm.
where the implication is very strongly coded and worded where, this is like a fast track. People are looking for
Fast track.
right, fast track, right or wrong. People are always going to be on the lookout for something that kind of looks like a shortcut off the beaten path to success. And they're
Yep.
looking for someone to provide the step by step playbook. They want the recipe. How
Yep.
did you do it? And
Yep.
it's never a thing that's promoted that how I do it is not maybe the way you're going to do it.
Right.
I experimented, I network, I talked to this guy, I applied for a job as a project manager. They ended up hiring me as a pen tester. Like, I can't really replicate that. You
Right.
just got to put yourself out there, your professional brand, your core competencies, lab up, do projects, demo those projects. And you just got to be out there digitally or in the street, shaking hands and getting your name and your personal brand out there. And then the chips fall where they may. That's
Mm-hmm.
really ultimately how it goes down for a lot of people.
Yeah, because like you said, what I'm finding a lot today. a lot of people, they are looking for a recipe, a play-by-play user guide, as I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, everybody's method for doing something will not be the same. You can't just think that you're going to do exactly what another person did and not even perform any research for yourself. I'm seeing a lot of them today do not want to do that. They expect everybody to give them pearls. I'm not saying, yeah, you can give advice and, mentor or whatever, but at some point, especially if this is the field you want to work in, you need to get out there on your own, figure certain things out. Like I've seen where, one, I know I'm Gen X, so I already know that's where my thought process is coming from. So, but when you get out there, I've seen it like on those websites. What is it? The Salary Street. And they talk about the different careers that are out there. And it was this one, I remember it was for cloud engineer, and it was for some people. The woman, she's from St. Louis, but she lives in Atlanta. Her and her husband are both cloud engineers. And they were saying she makes 120. I forgot what he made. They both basically about 120. And I saw people under the comments, what is a cloud engineer? What do they do? And me being a Gen X person that I am, I said, research. Get on Google for yourself. And others were upset that I said that because they're like, why wouldn't you just give them that information? Because if you have that interest, you want to do that job, you got to do some form of research yourself. Don't base what you want to do off of what somebody says. Because who's to say that's what they're doing is what they're telling you is correct?
Renita, shame on you. You're gatekeeping.
Yeah, and that's what they would say. I'm gatekeeping. No, I'm not. Do your damn work. That's how I feel. I mean, and I know the generations after us. Well, I'm gonna let people know I'm Gen X, and I'm not gonna say that you are. But I know the generations after. They love to work together for every damn thing in life. And you can't always rely on that. You have to, there's time for you working as a team, and there's time for you to work by yourself. And especially in cybersecurity, everything is not always a team effort.
I'm going to parlay off of that by parlaying off the pre-parlay. First things first, have you gone to the Vegas cybersecurity conventions?
I have not. I remember you talked to me about that last year, and I still, and I know they're coming back up. This time has gone by so quickly. I guess I should.
Yeah.
I guess I should.
just for touch ground. But I bring it up for a couple of reasons. One, because your presence there would add tremendous value to a couple of organizations that I think of that participate out there. But the second is more towards what you just said. Okay, so someone says, what's a cloud engineer in the chat, right? And when you're trying to get into this type of field, and especially on a highly technical level, right? IT is driving the Honda Accord, nothing wrong with it. Cybersecurity is driving the Maserati, and they're not going to give the keys to the Maserati to someone who just got a learner's permit. They're going to say, there's your Accord over there. Make way with that. And that's like the mentality for a lot of people. So going out to conventions, going out and meeting people, not everyone's like that, but you need to, I think, be exposed to some of the personality types that you may end up working with on a daily basis, whether remote or in person. And a lot of these people are if you think someone, throwing a quick dart and saying, you should research that in a forum or on a Facebook post or wherever, if you think that's harsh, you have not seen anything.
Oh my gosh. Now, while you mentioned that, so there's this group on Facebook called Black IT Network. I remember a guy asked a question. Whatever the question was, everybody, I'm not going to say everybody, people responded with the link, giving him the link for him to go look it up.
Mm-hmm.
He got mad. Why are you mad? He gave you the information, and it basically said, dude, you could Google that. And the guy wasn't being an asshole or anything, but he took it as him being an asshole because he didn't explain it. So you mean to tell me you're going to be that lazy that you're not going to even click on the link that this man gave you? And like you said, people in tech, not just even cyber, you can't just go with them and expect them to give you the answers. Even when I first started out programming, I worked with one of our SMEs, and he's a contractor, whatever. And so we always would have, we would have code reviews and everything. But, me just coming out of college, I'm like, okay, I want to make sure I'm getting this right. So I ask him a question like, hey, Matt, is this right? Blah, blah, blah. Should I do this? Blah, blah, blah. And just keep asking these different types of questions. It came up on my review. So it was like he said, I have to be able to, kind of make some decisions for myself as far as the programming. I'm not going to say I did it every single time. But when you're a black person in tech and then black female in tech, especially programming or in a technical role, you do have to be mindful of the number of questions that you're asking because it'll be held against you, number one. But like I said, it came up as a negative thing of me asking questions. So I took that upon myself. Yeah, I'm going to do it myself. I do some more research myself before I ask him any questions. That way, I'm going there knowing, okay, I'm at a standstill. Matt, what can I do with this? So for me to see people expecting you to give them the answers and the ways to get there, it just amazes me because
bad for business.
Very, you gotta working in tech. You gotta be able to think logically. You gotta be able to come up with ideas for yourself. You gotta be able to solve problems. You gotta have critical thinking skills. If you don't have any of that and expect somebody to hold your damn hand, you are not going to do good at all. Don't even come here.
When someone puts a link in the chat or they link to that, there's a Google for that link, right?
Yes.
And just to kind of infer, you should be doing some research on some of these rudimentary questions. They're not doing it to be a prick, right? I mean,
right.
It comes off like that, but it's because this is something that it's a part of, I guess, the culture, but it's like a litmus test. It's like, if you're not even doing that, do you know what you're asked, what type of field you're trying to get into, where it's not just solving problems, it's solving problems that no one saw before. And you're the first person to look at.
Yep.
And you gotta hodgepodge all of the different, resources, experience, talking to people, logs, Reddit, whatever it might be. But you've got to put all that together to come up with the solution. And in a lot of these environments, not having an answer is not an option.
Right. And you just can't go and ask your neighbor, what should I do here? Especially if you're working on a SOC. I mean, I'm not going to say they don't. If they're new, they're going to work with you if you're being trained. But at some point, they expect you to know how to solve the issues that are coming into the SIM. So if you're going to, each time you receive an alert and you don't know how to resolve it, how long do you think you're going to be there?
Not in my backyard.
Exactly. So kind of getting back onto even with these gurus and their trainings, I'm going to teach you how to do this and you're going to be making this amount of money within a certain amount of time. don't don't scam people just because they're going to pay for it because they want the quickest way to get to quick. They want the quickest way to the end of the race. Quick, because that's karma. It's going to come back on you. Number one.
Yeah, it's going to come back. For a lot of people, their plan is to get out of tech by getting you into tech.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of keep that in mind when you're evaluating a course, especially from an influencer.
Yep.
And I'm not saying that the boot camps aren't something to be mindful of too.
Right.
You definitely need to be mindful of that. And I'll go over possibly some potential things to be on the lookout for, but I wanted to kind of break down what I alluded to earlier. So back in 2021, 2022, there was an outfit known as, you may have heard of this, My Tech Best Friend. And My Tech Best Friend had a really awesome start. It had a lot of people supporting it. It had a lot of people, attending the classes. And it even got so far as to having, based off of what I've researched from businessinsider.com, talks with Microsoft with respect to providing some sort of staffing or talent solutions, some sort of career transition for people that graduate the program. So let me pull up my notes here real quick. So the program was started by a woman named Mary Awadale. It sounds Nigerian, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Could be Ghanaian too. But Mary Awadale. And around mid 2021, I believe, I wasn't able to find the origin date. And the stated mission was to help the underrepresented break into tech. She definitely helped, and her program with the people that worked under her has definitely helped people double or even triple their income from when they first started the program. So it did help people. Let me be super clear about that, and help people get into entry-level tech roles. There were some issues, though. Issues with this one was the content itself was allegedly repurposed, repackaged content and courses offered elsewhere from other platforms like I think it was ServiceNow or Salesforce or even Google and elsewhere. There was even one point where when this all started to unfold, someone on Twitter, a woman on Twitter, had volunteered a story in which this person, Mary, had reached out to her because the other person, was posting a lot of free content and resources. And months later, when the person that she reached out to on, I believe, Twitter, said later on when people reached out to her or where she volunteered this information, that the information that she was putting out for free was repackaged, and just as some of the other stuff that I alluded to with respect to Salesforce and ServiceNow and Google. So that was one major issue and the reason why that's problematic is because this training outfit on the low charged $1,850 and on the high charged $6,000 for 3-month courses. Data science, cloud, I'm sure they had a lot of technical pathways. Excuse me. So when you put that type of money into a course, you're expecting that, the people that you're working with have a level of comfort, of expertise, experience. You're not going to get someone with, it's hard for a lot of these boot camps to just poach someone with a lot of experience, because anyone with a lot of experience is going to get paid way more than they would, get paid as an instructor in some of these boot camps. But you do want some sort of, okay, well, this person has done a year here or a year here, or they're teaching you mobile development, but they also were a mobile developer elsewhere, even for a brief period of time. So I think that's fair. But, the alleged poaching of content that other people created and then just kind of repackaging it in a way where clearly, if it's true, it wasn't that much of a repackage because people recognized it right away. That implies that you're putting money towards an outfit, an operation that has no legitimacy with respect to what they're talking about. And that's when you get into the, okay, the scam word, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, that I don't think was the final straw. I think what broke this situation down was when some people, I think, brought that up. There were like some heated back and forth in Discord and chats, and apparently her communication style was somewhat abrasive to the point where she allegedly, again, this is all of. I had to go to the Wayback Machine because the businessinsider.com account, it was like a pay for. You got to pay to access the article. So if you don't know, if you ever come across an article and if it's aged a bit, like a couple of months, throw it on the Wayback Machine and you'll bypass the content block, the DRM. So I did that. So when I went there, the article said that she got upset. It was either the article or video I may have watched, but she got upset at the fact that people were getting placements. They were getting jobs after graduating the boot camp without telling her, without notifying her. And the issue with that is the money that people were spending, the $1,850, the $2,000, the $3,000, up to $6,000. That money went for services with respect to training. Some, I'm thinking career development and other things, but it didn't go to placement according to the verbiage on contracts. So she wanted her cake and eat it too, is what is being implied here. And she wanted to be able to promote on Twitter and all these other platforms that look at all these jobs people are getting. So she got so upset. And the reason why I brought it up is because in the chat, she said, when people don't do that, they don't tell me that they got job placements. It hurts worse than, I'm paraphrasing, it hurts worse than being called the N-word. And man, that blew the fuck up when she said that.
Yeah, that's silly. No, what you're saying, what she was doing, so she should have marketed it different, and she should have had that in place as far as placement. So that's her fault. It had nothing to do with those people. They were not obligated to tell her that they were placed. So with CyberUp, I'm on that board. I'm on the board. So what they do training. You can start from A+ networks and Security Plus training. And once you pass the Security Plus exam, they do place because they have an apprenticeship program as well. So that's already built in. And of course, they get the money for them placing people, but that's not coming it's coming directly from the organizations, not from like the people who are placed in those roles. I mean, because they're already apprentices. So the apprentices, they're kind of like a contracting house, after they placed them. So again, that was her fault.
Yeah, so it got real ugly. And this is where I became aware of it because, like I said, one night, just late night, just messing around on Twitter, and I'm seeing you know what it was? It was those live spaces where a whole bunch of people kind of congregate into one section of Twitter.
Oh, when they were kind of like Clubhouse, when they took Clubhouse.
Right, it was their Clubhouse, or is their Clubhouse. Yeah. So I saw something. I was like, well, what's going on? Because I did see, and listen, her social media game was on point. And I understand why she was upset about that, because her social media game was on point and she was using social proof like a motherfucker. She was having a whole bunch of people repost. It was actually, I think, a clause in the contract when you receive a scholarship, I believe, where you had to do some sort of hashtag, MTBF something. Yeah, right. So you had to do some sort of marketing. So I remember seeing it all up until that one point in time, but I saw it for months, and I was like, "Damn, shit! I need to sign up for this." Like, what the hell?
Right.
This seems like it's the real deal. It like I I totally thought it was like legit, and I guess it wasn't. It was to some respect, but that night, late at night, I see a whole bunch of people congregating. It was actually 2 a.m. I was like, what the fuck is going on at 2 a.m? And these people are irate, and they were all like former students or people in the cohort. And that's when I became aware. And I said,
Yeah.
oh, I got to pay attention to this. They are going off. And who's Mary? Like,
Yeah.
and I'm learning. And so, a couple years later, we're talking about this topic, and I realized I think I saw this before. So the big takeaway is, if you're running a boot camp or if you're attending a boot camp, people, I feel like the course content jacking
Yeah.
was problematic, but I don't think that was what lit the match. I don't think that was what got people at 2 a.m. in the morning, going ham on a Twitter space.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was the way she kind of communicated, her abrasive communication style, and things like that. So people are, when they're trying to attend a boot camp, they're in a very vulnerable point in their life, especially if they forked over, 4 figures.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying, I trust you. I trust you to the point
Yeah.
where I'm paying for access to your mind. I'm paying for access to your wisdom and insights. And I'm in a very delicate situation. So, just, for people that are running, tech influencers that are running courses and things like that, how you talk in your words, it really does matter, because I really felt like that was what I was hearing. I wasn't hearing the course content stuff. I
Mm-hmm.
heard when I did the research. What I heard was more, man, the way she talked to me, and, the blood was boiling.
Yeah, and I know that there are some good boot camps or trainings from different tech influencers, or they may have partnerships with reputable organizations. But people have to be mindful of where they're getting this information from, these trainings from. I remember like tech sales. I remember seeing like some tech sales trainings that I did send to like my friends who had an interest, who say they had an interest, but you know how that go. I have an interest in
Right.
tech and IT. I want to get in. Okay, do it.
Mm-hmm.
Here's some information. They don't do anything with it. But before I did that, I made sure they were reputable, because or even some of the cybersecurity courses. I know there are some courses where certain organizations, like one of the big four, was behind some of the trainings, like, or they had an apprenticeship program, and where people could get in, or they had these different boot camps. So like all the ones, I don't always promote a lot of. I don't what I promote, I make sure it is viable. So
Right.
I don't want people, because I don't want anybody ever to say Renita sent me some BS, because I wouldn't want to take any BS myself.
Okay, so we talk about the tech scammers, alleged tech scammers, but just in general, if you mentioned, and I wanted to follow up on this, you mentioned that you had put a friend on to a couple of courses that you had vetted yourself. Can you talk more in detail about what you were looking for that said, okay, this is something I feel comfortable putting my name on and recommending to a friend?
Well, what I end up doing is, so some things I tend to see on LinkedIn. And as far as those particular courses, they may be backed by a actual company. So I'm trying to remember the one that I sent to Rashida about sales, tech sales, because that's kind of what she was interested in. I want to say it was backed by a company. It was about 2 years ago, and so I'm not exactly sure for that one. But as far as my friend Cola's daughter, I sent her some information. Like I said, it was one of the big four. Her daughter wanted to get into cyber, so I sent her some information on that one. I know at Wells tends to have an apprenticeship program. You can look at different companies that have apprenticeship programs. You could look at, of course, Perscolis. I know he used to teach there.
Yes.
They're good as well. And then, of course, I keep mentioning CyberUp. They're now nationwide. It's not just St. Louis and Denver. They're nationwide. They whatever grant that they got, they were able to make them nationwide. So they're starting to open up everywhere. Then you have, oh gosh, I'm trying to think, go back to some of the other information I had when I spoke on this other podcast. Of course, I believe Microsoft has something. I know Google, my daughter-in-law, if y'all want to believe that. Yeah, I have a daughter-in-law. She was, her and my son was taking something through Coursera. Funny thing about that one. People, this a guy on Facebook, I see he posts a lot of good information, and he posted about Coursera, and he posted about how Coursera had, like, you can get like a degree with the University of Illinois, Champaign. And somebody, they tagged the school, is this real? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I responded, I was like, yes, it is, because I've seen it in the past. And then you had some woman going there, she's an influencer, like we're going to believe an influencer. And I'm like, I said, because what I explained, it was like my old company, we've all used them. It had come up recently in another training that we had. Were they from Deloitte? I know they were whoever was doing this training was from one of the big four. He talked about Coursera. So that when that woman said that stuff, and I was like, you could go ahead and take it or you don't have to. I really don't care. I'm just laughing. I'm not getting any money off of this. I'm giving you free information. But some people are, I guess, skeptical or have become skeptical because of some of these gurus out here. So Coursera is a viable solution. It's backed by different companies. They do have cybersecurity. That's where I really, really started looking into cyber, trying to get more before I even went to SLU, because I was looking at Coursera to just get an understanding of things. And then, so it was kind of intro, but now they started creating additional courses to where you could get that because Google has their training, their cybersecurity training with them. I think they even have, like, if you want to be in tech support, they do one of those through them. Most colleges are on there. When I kind of started looking at machine learning and slightly AI, back in the day, it was over 10 years now. It was University of California, Berkeley. They had a course there.
Okay.
University of Michigan, they have Python and for cybersecurity stuff on there. It's so many different schools. I've taken a Johns Hopkins data analytics course from there. It's just training. It's self-paced, but people you can look there. Most of it's free unless you want to get a certificate.
Right. You can, which is awesome, because you can actually get exposed to the entire content.
Yep.
There's no paywalls.
Right.
You're just paying for, and I don't even think it's a lot of money, but you're just paying for the actual official seal of approval that you got this, so you can put this on LinkedIn and elsewhere.
But you can maybe 50 at the most.
Yeah, it's like $50 or something like that. Like a total. I mean, we just talked about $1,850 to $6,000, right?
Yeah.
So I think $50 is not a too hard of an ask in exchange for exposure to training content from different institutions, different educational institutions in data analytics, cybersecurity, even digital marketing. So I think that's a very good recommendation. Of course, I do know about Perscolas as well. For those that don't know, I did teach at Perscolas as an instructor, as a tech instructor, focusing on A+ and a Network Plus. Those are the things that I provided instruction with, and I taught there for 4 years before I went elsewhere. And that's a very reputable situation as well. A top non-profit, I believe, in the top 2%, they go through a process where, I don't want to get too deep into it, but they go through a very lengthy vetting process every once in a while, where once you come out of that process, it kind of puts you into an upper echelon in terms of nonprofits. Basically, the money people donate to the nonprofit goes to what you say that the money was supposed to go to. And that vetting process kind of confirms that. Perscolis, Coursera, you mentioned CyberUp. I want to swing back to that in a second. But for someone that's evaluating Mr. Atlanta or, my MTBF, right? Someone that's evaluating the one person brand, the tech job influencer, what would you be on the lookout for that says, yay? We kind of talked about the not so good stuff, but what would you be on the lookout for to say, okay, at a minimum, they do this, they have that. You know what? I can see myself doing that.
So I know there's this other tech influencer. He's kind of young, but he works on a SOC. So he tends to deal with Splunk all the time. And I looked up, of course, not Instagram, LinkedIn. Of course, you're creating your own profile there. But I looked at also his professional connections and the people that are recommending him as far as him teaching Splunk. And so I will, if you just can't just go off of their marketing. You have to research these people and kind of see who they're connected to and see how people are talking about them, because you need to make sure you're getting what you're paying for. And so those one-off companies, if you're going to do those, just make sure you pay attention. You get out there, because that's your money. Why waste money on something that you can't use? I did want to say some other groups you can look up. BIT, I know Blacks in Technology. Then there's BUILT, Blacks United in Leading Technology. They tend to have, of course, I can't forget the other one, BDPA, Blacks Data Processing Association, Black Data Processing and Processor. But I know they all tend to get these testing, what do you call those, vouchers from different organizations, and they're sponsored by, like, say, Google or so, and they get training as well. So you can get training through them. I've sent some of my students. One of my students, she wants to program. She wants to see more aspects of it, and so I sent her, some of the things I saw coming out from those organizations. So just pay attention out there. Training is out there.
I like what you said. You got to, we these are some of the common themes, whether it's Googling something as basic as, what is a cloud engineer, or going to someone's LinkedIn and, before, because you see something and someone phrases it in a certain way and they put it together in a certain presentation where you're just like, that's my guy. That's my girl. Like, I fucks with that. And let's go. Let me just go ahead and swipe the credit card. Let's go. Let me do the Cash App, whatever. That excitement, it's there, but you got to kind of still take a step back and just say, are they about that life? What's going on with LinkedIn? Who's co-signing them? Who are they affiliated with? Okay. Where's the social proof look like? So you kind of want to do some research. As I drink my water, I realize that I have my Perscolis mug right here. So but going back to what you said, you want to kind of definitely vet, especially when we're talking about the tech influencer, because if you're dealing with a Perscolis or a CyberUp, 2 clicks and you're going to be like, okay, they're legit. There's not much. You should still research. Let me not say don't research, but it's going to be quickly apparent that it's a legit scenario that you're about to embark on if you want to apply for their tutelage. One thing I would um, throw out there is, you know, when it comes to getting into whatever it is you're trying to get into, there's like too many people and too many free resources out there for you not to stitch it all together. I'm not saying that everyone should do that because a lot of people don't respond to that as well as
Yeah.
others. Some people are very, I can do it on my own. I'm self-paced. And that's good. I'm not trying to throw value one way or the other or make a value judgment. But what I am saying is, if you think you need a helping hand, if you think you need someone to hold you accountable, a weekly process, something to report to every day, then that's when you want to start to look at some of these scenarios, whether it's a program that's nationally recognized or if it's someone offering a course. But regardless of those two different landscapes, what you're really looking for is, what do people have to say about the experience? What do people
Mm-hmm.
have to say with respect to the advice? Because low key, you're looking for a career mentor in the process. The technical information is a technical information. I'd be the first to tell you, I think I can spit it in a way where everybody can understand it, but that's not really what the point is.
Right.
The point is, do I have people that are holding me accountable, but walking that thin line of balance with also being my supporter and my champion, and making sure that I'm on task and doing the things that I said I was going to do when I entered the program to be all I can be and reach my potential. And that's really what you're paying for. So you are paying for a particular personality, you are paying for a particular style of communication, and you are paying for a certain level of experience that is something you just cannot get in a self-paced course. So really you want to look at that as well as verify and vet the individuals that you're going to potentially spend the next 3 to 6 months of your life dealing with.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely.
Can you explain CyberUp, like in general, like what is it they do, your affiliation, and anything else that people need to know about CyberUp?
So CyberUp they have three realms that they work in. One is training. Two is youth. It's called youth power up.
Okay.
Wait. Oh gosh. Okay, this is bad. I should really know this because I should be helping to sell. So CyberUp.
Renita, please report to the principal's office.
Yeah. So, well, one, their website is wecyberup.org. And
Okay.
so they have what's called the youth. I'm going to get the name totally correct. So it's youth. So power up youth. So opportunities. So with this area, what they're doing, they're introducing kids K through 12 to cybersecurity. As I was saying earlier, I was dealing with the brownies. So they weren't in the 4th grade. They were up to like the 3rd grade. And I had some of the little girls. I forgot what they called the girls before their brownies. So they were in there as well. So as far as that part of the training, that we're teaching cybersecurity awareness, and up through the 4th grade. We are doing security awareness training even in the 7th grade, but 7th grade is kind of when we start to discuss cybersecurity careers. And then in high schools, of course, we go out and we talk about the cybersecurity careers as well. Now, the other aspect is training. So what CyberUp they provide training for security. You could be 18 years old to get in their program. They provide training. So as I stated earlier, they do Network Plus. You can start from there. Then A Plus. You can start from there, then Network Plus, and then you can do the Security Plus and get the exam. Take the exams or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then once you pass those, they also place you in an apprenticeship program, but they also go over resumes as well. And so they have apprenticeships. They have partnerships with Centene, PwC, Boeing has paid for one of their cohorts. They have representatives on the board from MasterCard. Also, of course, PwC. There is, I'm trying to think of all the different organizations where people are represented from, of course, some universities. But their goal is to train people and have apprenticeships. And they're a nonprofit. They're based in St. Louis. They also have a satellite in Denver. They have someone who's working in California. And as I stated, they just recently became nationwide, meaning they can have people in their cohorts from around the country. And so a lot of big companies, I'm not going to say a lot of big companies, some startups have worked with them. They have apprentices there. They had another apprentice that was placed at the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis. Well, yeah, St. Louis. They're just under Chicago, but they're St. Louis. We have some at Edward Jones, one at Worldwide Technology. I can't say all of them because I know they have quite a few alums, and one of the alums, she does come back. The reason why I even got involved is because of one of the alums named Jasmine Owens. She transitioned from working in healthcare into cyber.
Okay.
And so, yeah, there's a possibility if people are making job changes to work in this program as well. So from me seeing her as an apprentice, moving into getting a job at this company called CAS, and I want to say CAS Information Systems, but I know it's CAS, but she left from there. She started out in the SOC, then she went over to risk management, cyber risk management. And now she's at Worldwide Technology, performing security assessments of the company.
Thanks for the breakdown for CyberUp, because I've seen on your social media, on LinkedIn and Instagram, I saw you post it, and I just never, bad job on me, but I never took the time to kind of break down what CyberUp is and what they're about. And it's good to see that they have that national reach where people can kind of join their, I'm assuming this is a remote provisioned platform. Yeah,
it is. And they used to have it where people could come into the space, but at that place where they were, I guess they were paying much more.
Yeah. So the online, so I know we have another episode. We're going to focus on kind of the remote job scenario.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely interested in your thoughts on that. Now, I kind of want to switch gears to kind of more business here. So, but before I do that and we take our conversation offline, is there anything that you want to promote or make people aware of with respect to what you're working on, or anything that they should know about?
Now, there's nothing that I'm truly working on outside of, work and being an adjunct. Now, I will say they should be on the lookout, even for those who may already be in the area, within the industry. They can look. So, I know if you remember the doctor, Pierre Johnson, from the summer.
Yes.
So he and his friends, they have a nonprofit, and this nonprofit, one thing they end up doing, they tend to give out scholarships once a month for those in college, those who may be going, or those who are currently in college. There's no age limit. But so one thing that they're truly promoting, because the number of people within STEM careers are low for Blacks, and those who are coming from undeserved areas. So they have created a mentoring app, And I'm doing this promotion myself. He doesn't know anything about it. So they have a mentoring app that they've developed. They spent $500,000 on it themselves. And what they're trying to do is connect kids who are interested in certain areas of STEM, so cybersecurity is a STEM career, to professionals in that area. So it's not just cyber. It's, people who are into medical field, people who are in it could also be the arts, so STEAM. So really just connecting kids in undeserved areas with professionals, so to help them, mentor them for their careers in the future using an app.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So they're having a kickoff on that on May 16th.
May 16th. Yeah, I need all the details on this one. So this is a mentor app. I like the sound of it already. I don't know too much more, but I feel like I kind of see where they're going with that, and leveraging technology to provide that big brother that a lot of people need, or big sister that a lot of people need, a lot of young people need in their life if they don't have it in their environment. I had a deal that fell through. It was for a web. It was for a brand. It was starting as a website, but it was for a brand. And part of what they wanted to do was help young people be able to communicate, help young people be able to deal with conflict in a healthy way, and not just go from 0 to 100 like we see now. Like they do now. And it was right around the time, and they had a very personal reason. I won't get into it for why. So they were very vested into this, but it was right around the time there was a story in Florida where it was Christmas. It was right at Christmas. And I might be mixing up some of the relatives here, but I believe it was 2 brothers and a sister. And one brother was upset at the sister for not getting a gift for them on Christmas. And it led to like one or more of the siblings being killed. Like it was like, oh wow, it went to such an absurd level of like, we really doing this over a Christmas gift. So, a lot of people unfortunately don't have people modeling healthy conflict resolution, healthy boundaries, healthy ways to just deal with something and not take it to an absurd level of outcome. So that mentor app, I would definitely like more details about that. Okay. And if that's what I think it's doing, I would definitely like to put some shine on that as well.
Yeah, because it's really when he told me the concept, and then so they do have it on their website, PASAP3.org. Okay. And so like I said, I know they're having they had one down in New Orleans during their homecoming because they went to Xavier, but they're having one in Chicago on May 16th. And it's like a kickoff event where they're, unveiling event of the app. So.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm definitely going to pay attention to that. And good job on you for promoting that. I think that's a much needed digital resource. Yeah. I'm going to be a little more selfish and just promote my brand and just say, hey, look, make sure you go to YouTube, subscribe for more conversations. Renita, I hope you and I have a lot more insights to share with people. I was thinking of also panels and things like that. And, we'll kind of transition into an offline. But for those that are watching, just remember, success is a choice.
Definitely is. Yes, it is.
Subscribe to Tech or Die so you'll automatically get a notification when the newest episode drops. You can subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and most podcast directories. You can also play the show straight from the website, techordie.com. We're on social media too. Check us out on TikTok and Instagram. Wherever you are in this world, remember one thing: success is a choice.